white noise metal with that BS dude, Brian Shields.
Brian Shields here in West Springfield, Massachusetts at Geraldine's with
lovely West Springfield.
Lovely, charming West Springfield, Massachusetts with Brian Fair of Shadows Fall. So the last time we saw Shadows Fall, you were playing in front of this gigantic football stadium in the Philippines on that really sick DVD. Now we're at this tiny little place here in Springfield. Why?
Yeah, we like to play at least some local shows with some local bands, especially right before we go into the studio. We're about to kind of hibernate for the rest of the spring into the summer, so we don't know the next time we'll be playing live, so figured, have one little hometown bash and then go start working on the new record. So
what can we expect on this new record?
So far we've got about the outline of like 8 tunes, and they range from being really slow and heavy, like almost like old 90s death metal, a few tunes, to like really crazy up-tempo, like all over the place proggy stuff too. I mean, it's really going to cover a wide spectrum. We kind of want to push what we did with Retribution a little bit further, which I think was kind of a really good balance between our melodic and our kind of thrash and aggressive stuff. So we really want to keep going that way. We feel like we kind of peaked out on the rock side of our sound with Threads of Life, so now we want to kind of go back to just more mixing the melodic and the thrash stuff,
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the great things about Shadows Fall, is that you never really know exactly what you're going to get when you get them.
Exactly. We don't want any record to really sound the same. So, you got to take some chances, especially after being a band for a decade and a half. It can be easy to kind of fall into the same old, and we'd rather just kind of go completely like in weird new directions than just kind of repeat ourselves.
So after a decade and a half, looking back over the time, what do you think about the progress of this band?
It's been pretty amazing. The fact that we started as a small, Massachusetts metal band at a time where the style of metal we were doing was very, just kind of ignored, especially in the U.S. In the late 90s, and to see how big the scene's grown and have things like Mayhem Fest and Ozfest including bands like us over the last 10 years is pretty crazy, and Grammy nominations and all that stuff. It's just a lot of stuff we never expected, but we just kind of got into it for fun, and even if it balances back out where it kind of comes back to the smaller side of things, we knew we had a great run and just accomplished more than we ever thought. So
yeah, I mean, I was there at 9 a.m. on 2003 Ozfest with you guys out there, and and just to see the growth both musically and in terms of the crowd has just been astounding.
Yeah, it's really crazy, man, and we just kind of can have the comfort of knowing we did it all on our own terms, and just kind of by sticking to what we do well and just letting it kind of happen naturally, as opposed to trying to take that big home run swing and write some little pop single or something. We just did it the old-fashioned way. I got in the van and just toured with anyone and played anywhere, and then got lucky, and things have gone well. Now it's a tough time in the music industry, so it's a little more of a struggle for bands again, because nothing's making any money, including record sales or tours or any of that. But it just makes you remember why you got into it, and just because you love to do it, and just kind of stick it out. So
well, I was going to ask you about that, because the last time we talked was kind of at the start of this DIY thing that you guys have really done. Looking back on it after a whole record cycle, what do you think?
It's definitely the way to go. We are kind of working out a similar situation again. We may stay with the Warner Brothers independent label group. We have a few other people that's options, but honestly, we're only going to go kind of distro deal / imprint deal, as opposed to traditional record deals, because they just kind of don't work anymore. If the label has to front a ton of money, there's not that guarantee they're going to make it back. So we'd rather kind of share some of the responsibility, but also make our stake a little bit bigger, and just use them as what they do well, which is retail and distro and manufacturing, and keep the promo and all that stuff on the band side, because we know our audience better than a bigger label would. So, but it's really tough. Like, I've been trying to help out some smaller bands get things going, and it's really hard now as an up and coming band to kind of get anything without completely self-financing it.
Yeah.
The only way a label signs a new band now is if they paid to record and then just give them the record.
But we're seeing bands like Periphery, I don't know if you're familiar with, out there, that are doing this thing, and they're licensing their music to labels. And
but that's the way to do it. It really is right now. The more you can kind of retain control, the better. But you just have to find a partner that's willing to kind of do that with you, and it's really going to be the only option, unless labels completely change their whole business model and go into like where they're almost become a management team as opposed to just a record label, you know, where they're helping you get tours and do this. And
because there's almost no artist development going on anymore.
No, because they can't afford to, you know, which is unfortunate. Before, especially way back, you could give a band 3 or 4 records. It was kind of like the starting point, and then you hope to hit it big. Now, if you don't, you know, hit it right away, they're like, well, we got no more money, so you're done.
Excellent. Anything else that you wanted to ask?
Just that we're gonna be, you know, laying low for a little bit, work on the new record. But once we come out, we'll be hopefully hitting the road in the fall and getting out there. And the record's either gonna come out in like the October era, or we're gonna have to wait till like January 2012. So either way, one or the other. It's the unfortunate side of the business too. You know, if it doesn't hit at a certain date, you gotta wait another few months. So hopefully, though, we'll get it out by October. If not, we'll be looking for early 2012. So.
Awesome. Thanks for your time. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right.
Always a pleasure, man.
Yes, sir.